Okay, I love your shoulders. You know, that's from the 40s.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like, what was in the 40s?
I didn't see any countdown there.
It's already on, Shirley.
Oh, okay.
Listen, little Shirl.
Yeah, little Shirl, that's right.
Little, are we balanced? We are, because this part of the seat is lower.
Maybe my floor is slanted. Well, the whole world is slanted, so what's the difference? And we all manage anyway. So
welcome. So
yes, welcome.
I'm teaching little Shirl over here how to stay looking at the camera. So
I like to look at her when she's talking, but she says look at the camera so that it looks like I'm looking at you. But I'm really supposed to be looking at her in the camera. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Here I am. Here we are.
Here we are.
Pristine beauty this morning, waking up to the fresh snowfall. Yeah, it was really pretty. And then I saw along my window, somebody had walked, and it looked like a kid had walked through and just scuffed all the snow, and they were having so much fun. And then I realized, no, it wasn't a kid, it was an adult that had walked by the window, and they were having,
that's
so
sweet.
I would, whether you have sunshine or you have water that you can go and just play in, I would suggest you do some of that to lighten the mood today.
Oh, wow. I'm watching the numbers as you speak, and right when you said go out and play, it was 1:31 on this clock, and 31 to me is mission. So that is a condition of your mission here in the expanded energy on Earth, is to have fun. That is a condition, is to have fun. And so then you are sharing it, like whether it's within the water, the snow, at the store. It popped up as 35, and 35 to me is the idea of past life energy. It's karmic. It's karmic energy that's trying to find its lesson and learning. And so it's like, while you're doing this fun thing, it's easy for you to release anything that just simply doesn't matter anymore. Because when you're in a high spirit, it's easier to think about things that, you know what, kind of bother you or whatever, and then set the intention to release and let them go. And so when it turned to 36 on the camera or on the recorder, 36 is the correction of the heart. So it's like, there you go. Like, that's one way that you can quickly shift your underneath energy, make it lighter, the subconscious lighter, by simply having fun and being conscious of maybe some things that you're in the process of saying, sweeping out the door, and then doing that.
When I started the cue this morning for the session for this podcast, what it came up, the focus, our theme that came up was stomach disharmony. So that's a good advice for when you're playing, when you're having fun, to use it as an opportunity to get rid of anything that's not harmonious in your life. So anything that's not balanced, to bring things back into some kind of scheme where everything is okay, because everything is okay. Everything is already done. We're just stepping into what is, and it's already happened. So there are a lot of things happening right now, particularly in the United States. And what came to me this morning was an old saying. I tried looking it up, Googling it, but you know, Google doesn't really know everything. But the saying is, what you resist persists. And I think it's just so applicable today and yesterday and probably tomorrow, because whatever it is that we focus on is going to stay there. And there's some law of physics, and I tried to find that and couldn't find it either, but there's some law of physics that's a body set in motion will continue in motion, and then...
Yeah, it's the Isaac Newton law.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, there you go. We'll learn something new today.
I think it's something like EMC squared.
But there's also a force set in motion will have an opposing force in order to keep something stable. And so when I look at a lot of the resistance that I see out there just in the public arena, you know, it's not advocating for something. It's resisting, and everything they resist continues to push back. And so there's very little change in that, or on that issue, or in that person's life. So when you take a look at the things that you're resisting in your life, then you can find a way that you can transform it if you can find something that you can advocate for instead of against. Mm-hmm. So what is it that you're looking for?
And you know what? I think about that, how that applies to me. So the last couple of days, what am I resisting? One of the things that keeps coming up is me questioning, like am I doing the right thing? Or questioning like what I've done already, whether people have liked it or not liked it, or agreed or disagreed. And so when that voice comes up and it says, you know what, Jessica, you are wrong, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, and in the past, I used to rumble around with that, but that's an example of what's already happening in all of our subconscious. So it's actually a good thing when you can hear it. So you can pull the weeds out. So what I was sharing with myself is I was just asking myself, everything that I've done, and again, what Shirley had shared was that everything is done. So everything that I've done to contribute to the energy of change, or whatever it is I was doing, is perfect. It's perfect. What my guidance is what am I doing now? And how do I feel about it now? That's the right or the wrong for us. Is what you feel like you're doing now something that lifts you up, or is it something that lifts you down? And so then that's where your question lies, is right there. So if it's something that lifts you up, then continue doing it, if you can. If it's something that lifts you down, then think about what can you do that can kind of stir that pot and help something kind of lift for you, or help you understand, or help you get through it.
And I noticed that you're stirring right around the stomach area where we have the disharmony that we're neutralizing right now. And that's where I'm going to run for 27 hours. I was surprised when I checked that because that's a long time. Usually 24 is max, but 27. And this is just for the group. It's not, it's a little more potent. When you're working with a group, you get the synergy of everybody who's in the group. So those of us that are able to move through the disharmony a little faster and a little easier, we contribute that gift to you, because it's a vibration that we're working in a group as. So we elevate one another. It's different if we're working individually. It's equally as important and can be as valuable, but working the synergy of a group together gives us so much more power when we all have the same intention that we want to heal, we want to be better, we want to increase our vibration, we want to use the models of high vibrational words to communicate with people. Really, really important to keeping ourselves where we want to be. Yeah, we're going to have, this is an interesting week coming up. Here in the United States we have, and I say that because I noticed last time that we did a podcast, we had some people from Scotland on. So this isn't just applicable to the United States, but in the United States, I'm already next week. Yes, I mean, I was sitting here this morning doing President's Day things because President's Day is tomorrow. But President's Day is not tomorrow, it's next week. But I'm already operating on next week's stuff, I guess. So while I was doing that, I realized that I grew up in Illinois, and that's the land of Lincoln. And Lincoln's birthday is February 12th, and we celebrated that on February 12th, so we always got the day off of school. I love that. And then years later, they changed all the holidays to being like all the presidents' birthdays that we used to get days off of school are all now lumped into one day. I would have felt very cheated if I was in school right now, and I realized that
you guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
The people before me ended up with so many more days off of school, because that was a really highlight of my life during that time. But I used to live down in the Washington, D.C. area, and there are a lot of monuments there to all of the presidents. And what really surprised me is that I went to the Lincoln Memorial on Lincoln's birthday, and there were flowers. There were many steps leading up to the Lincoln Memorial, and he is more than life-size figure sitting in a chair. And there were flowers on every step, bouquets of roses and lilies, every imaginable flower. And I asked some of the guards about that, and they said people send bouquets to the Lincoln Memorial and of the other memorials as well, many times of the year. And that never occurred to me that so many people would be sending memorial to a president who was dead for 200 years, let's say. And some people are still remembering favors granted, favors given. I'm not sure. But I thought it was really touching, and how often we tend to forget things, forget people, forget influences in our lives that have made us so much richer. And so I thought, just with this week coming up, that it would be really interesting for myself to think about who I could remember in that manner. And it's similar to bringing flowers to a grave, which has been, as far as I know, time immemorial. We have always, different cultures have always brought flowers to graves. Certain cultures, I should say. So I would just suggest that you take a look back at some of the people or some of the things in your life that have given you pause, given you lessons. And I wanted to refer back to what Jessica said about some of the things that you do that are right, or maybe they're wrong. Well, if you perceive them to be wrong, then perhaps you're learning a lesson. And the lessons that we learn are what we came here to learn. Every obstacle that's been put in our path, or that we actually chose some of the obstacles that we put in our path, those are all designed by our souls before we ever come here. And there are lessons. They're what we decided we needed to learn from. So when people come to me privately for private sessions, and they seem to be repeating the same patterns of behavior, I always say this is some kind of a lesson. We want to get at the root cause, because this is a manner, a way in which you can grow, that your soul can expand, that your vibration can increase. So I think that that is just one simple way of taking a look at any difficulty in your life, any disharmony that you have. And we're dealing with the disharmony in the stomach right now. Remember, I can't take it anymore. I can't stomach any more of this. I don't want to hear any more about it. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to talk to anyone about it. Please leave me alone. That's going to gradually be leveled out so that you will be able to move forward without being zapped by that particular energy that doesn't sit well with you. And that's really a great opportunity for you to advance in any way that you choose. So I would suggest that you just take a few moments when you're finished here, when we're finished here, I guess, to think to yourself what kinds of things you'd like to bring into your life instead of focusing on the things that are unsatisfactory, the things that you may resist, the things that you don't like. What would it be like if it were different? And focus on the difference that you like. Focus on what it is that you need in your life to make yourself feel worthy and loved and at peace and in joy. And realize that it's all right there. Everything has been done. And that's really a significant statement, because this morning I read something about something new information that was coming into the public awareness. And then someone else said, but you do realize that all of this information has already been there. It's just that you weren't ready to hear it. And so it was never made public. So it just can set your mind at ease knowing that the universe never makes any mistakes. Everything is as it should be. Everything is moving forward in exactly divine timing. And you are moving forward in your life in divine timing too. And there's a beautiful deck of cards that Jessica has now. I have this deck too. Sandra Ann Taylor is her name. She has a number of beautiful decks, but this particular one I really like. So what are you going to share with us?
I don't know. Let's see what the energy is for today. Since some of it is disruption. If we think about like even what came up on the queue or what might be showing up in your life and what's showing up in my life is stomach, right? Stomach issues. And how are you digesting something today? On maybe a physical level too, but even like on an emotional level or a psychological level. Like right now, if we were to have you stop for one moment and to just sit for a second. Here, look at, I'm doing the great thinker. Just sit for a second and think to yourself, what are you digesting today? What's been on your mind? I have to wait a second. Okay, so see, what's on your mind is trying to reconnect. So the camera went off right when I asked that. So something that may be offline that you're having a hard time connecting to. Whatever that is. Because if you have a hard time connecting to, it makes it difficult to digest. So I noticed right when I opened the cards up, the card on the bottom is deceit.
Oh.
So this could be something that's coming from someone around you or something around you, but I really encourage you to connect with yourself today. So have this card of deceit be you. What is something that you are denying? What is something that you're denying? And we're going to go back a little bit to what I had shared when we opened up. Like, what am I denying myself when I think, like, did I do something wrong? You know, am I on the right path? I'm denying myself a sense of knowing who I am and feeling comfortable in my skin, knowing that I am worthy and I am knowing. So what are you denying is the question. So let's take a peek at the energy that is coming off of that. And as you're sitting there thinking, well, the energy is popping out. A broken heart. What are you denying within the energy of either feeling broken, experiencing something that feels like you broke, or doing something to someone else that you broke? And if we can just settle in this space for a minute, because both of these colors, now it was reconnecting again. So again, we're disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting in a different space, in a different place, so that we can allow ourselves to actually see our face better. What is it that we see? And so one of the cards is the 9, the broken heart. The end of a very long cycle. And it's important during this time when you're recalling this, that you remember, that's done. What you're feeling when you think about it is an understanding, a lesson. A lesson. And the second card was 25. And even though deceit or denial isn't a very positive or like, oh yeah, I can't wait to feel deceived or be deceived or deny. But 25 to me is a renewal code. So what actually comes from that deep shell, that barrier? Like flowers pop through barriers, right? Light comes out. Caves, right? So let's view it as something that ultimately is a very positive thing, a very an event that will promote growth and understanding and knowing, and maybe even something of abundance on some level. It's the door. This is the golden door card. if you can see the truth behind the deceit, and then allow yourself to feel it, it mends the heart, or what the perceived breakage is, so that then you can move into this door. This door is a new energy. It's the fullness of all of us. It's 5D. It's the divine earth. It's your creation. There's all sorts of stuff within that door that allows you to experience yourself in the most bountiful way, plentiful way, loving way. But to get in this door, you see how it's like a crack? You can't carry some big backpack back here. That's your barrier. And you can see how that's a positive thing, because if you move with enough force, get through that door, that backpack falls off and it's just you that comes through. Everything has purpose. And if you did something that you feel like, ooh, about, well, make your amends. Be mindful about what that looks like and why you're doing it. And then let it go. Because remember, whatever you did on the outside, let's say we're not talking about what's happened to us, but whatever you did on the outside, as long as you hold to that, oh, I'm terrible, I'm sick, I'm bad, that person is corded to it. So you're hurting that person even more than if you were to forgive yourself, accept what's happened, and then make choices that make you feel more in aligned with who you really are, and let it go. And that goes for us too. When someone's done that, if I'm holding on to this, guess what? I've got them strapped so tight to me, they ain't ever getting out of here. But who's in pain? Me. So, just some things to think about.
Wise words. Wise woman. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I guess my deceit to myself was a lie.
I think I learn every time I listen to you, and I hope you do the same, as well as you, but that we learn from each other.
Yeah.
And so the comments that you drop and the questions that you ask are really important as we move forward, so that we can develop a real compatible conversation each time that we gather together, because we don't have any set plan. A couple of things occurred to me this morning that I managed to be able to share with you, but other than that, I don't usually plan anything, just going by the seat of our pants.
And you know what? The more energy involved, the more powerful we are in creating whatever experience it is to exist. So we are collectively doing this together. So on that note, it's 23:33.
Ooh, out of here.
We're out of here. Have a beautiful